Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode this week here on Eat Sleep Reef. I'm gonna have quite a bit in store for you guys. I'm actually gonna be doing a run and gun full update on the tank. We're gonna be covering lighting, how that's been doing, power heads, corals, fish, bacteria, any algae we've been dealing with. Then we'll get to the bottom. We'll talk about the fuge, we'll talk about the skimmer, and then we'll talk about the piece that I've really been loving, the KHD, making the alkalinity testing just that much easier. Let's get right to it. So giving a rundown here on the lights, if you guys haven't seen, I've done quite a bit of videos on it, but I am running the Illumagic Blaze Minis. If you're wondering what schedule I am running, it's pretty much the same schedule I talked about when I was covering the par on these lights. The only thing I've changed is I've put the whites down about 5%, and that's pretty much it. So in other words, running the tank, as you can see, a little bit bluer, but that's again to my liking. But yeah, haven't had any complaints. I love the lights, very simple to program. They're very straightforward. As you can see, I have them hung here to the ceiling and have kind of the power management here being run to the back. But all in all, it's a very sleek light. More importantly though, I know what we all care about. You know, light can look amazing, but it's really important how it grows coral, or if it's even able to grow coral. Now the good news is I've added a few pieces in here, some LPS, some ZOAs. I got my first acro in here. Yeah, we'll be talking about it in a little bit later, but all in all guys, it's been doing very well. As with any lights, no matter what manufacturer you go with, it's very important that you don't start off too high. The last thing you want to do is bleach out your corals, burn corals, because a lot of lights out there have nowadays the technology and more than enough power to be able to, in essence, burn or bleach your coral. A lot of you guys may be aware I did actually add my first fish, was it a week? No, I think we're going almost on 2 weeks. I added quite a few fish. There's a few hiding. You can only really see the two tangs. We got the yellow tang and the coal tang. Now guys, I don't know what the heck I was thinking, but a coal tang, I have never seen a fish work as hard as this bad boy here. He's still a little bit shy, but he'll kind of come up to me because I've kind of been training him to feed. Anytime he sees my hand towards the top, look, see, he's already coming up. He thinks it's feeding time. But guys, the way this guy is always literally munching all over the rock. I mean, he even gets under the rock. It's really amazing to watch him. The yellow tang does it as well. Look, you can see him already doing it to the sand. But this guy's just always grazing, and makes it just a really good fish to use, you know, to maintain algae. So if you guys have a tank that's sufficient enough for tangs, I'd highly recommend you checking out a yellow eye coal tang. There's various variations as far as color, but this guy's been doing great. The yellow tang, you guys just saw him run back there. The wrasse is hiding on the bottom. The firefish hides. You can kind of, I don't know if you can see him right there. You can see his little head. And then we got the cleaner shrimp right there, and we have the urchin. Man, this urchin's been hard working. Like, this guy's just been doing a great job. So all in all, we haven't seen any crazy outbreaks. The fish have been eating very good. A lot thanks to the Celcon. I've been mixing Celcon into their food, which I hear is a very good additive and a lot better than garlic because it actually helps the health and the coloration, not only of the fish, but also helps for coral. So I've been using that, mixing it in, and have had great success. So a few updates back, you guys saw me add some first initial pieces of corals, mainly these three here in the front. Just last week, I also got together with the local reefer that was getting rid of some very high-end ZOAs. You can see we have some hallucinations, some strata. Honestly, I forget all the names of them. But there's three bad boys here doing really good so far. They're open. I mean, everything is doing really good. You can see, I again forget the name of these guys as well here, but those have also been doing very well. That was actually quite a big, I wouldn't say colony, but a good sized frag. Now, one of the most important pieces here, it isn't an exactly strawberry shortcake, but it's, I believe, a variation of a strawberry shortcake. So this is one that I really cared about because this was gonna tell me how good the tank was doing and how likely it would be to keep alive Acropora. So it's a little bit hard to see, but guys, the polyps on this thing are open. I mean, it feeds very well. The coloration's still there. So that tells me a few things. Obviously, the parameters are pretty good. The water flow is pretty good. More importantly, the lighting is very good. I have no bad things to say. Like the corals, the easy ones have been doing good. Even the acro's been doing great. So I have no complaints whatsoever. I did go ahead and put two Nero wave makers here in the back. If you guys know, this tank is going to be dominantly SPS, and we all know for SPS you need quite a bit of flow. I also went ahead and added these guys here, kind of just to direct the flow a little bit different. The return nozzles here on both sides. You can see we have great surface agitation. This is going to help keep our pH at a nice high level, but it also allows me to variate the flow a little bit more with these two Nero 5s that I do have mounted there in the back. Like I said, they've been doing great. I have no complaints on them. They've been pretty straightforward. Now, as far as algae, or if there has been any algae, because I know a lot of people have been asking me, wondering, how in the heck has this tank been running for the time it's been running, and there seems to be no algae on it? Like, it's maturing beautifully. Well, luckily the rock does have already coloration on it. You can kind of see it there. It's no longer white. It's clearly an off-white. Anywhere you look pretty much on the rock, there isn't any algae. Yes, it is maturing. Yes, it is now live, but I've been able to keep it at bay. And I know a lot of people have been asking me, I'm actually gonna have a video in the future on exactly what I do, but one of the very important things I recommend everybody, even if it's a mature tank already, is to always blow off the rock. Now this I try to do about every day to every third day. I don't know if you can see, but even there's some debris coming out. But what this allows to do, it allows the rock to breathe. It doesn't allow any bad stuff to be decaying in the rock, which thus is gonna increase your nutrients. This way it gets it out of the display and throws it down into the refugium where it can be processed. And again, the rock, I've been doing water changes. One thing that I highly recommend when you have a new tank, I know this tank is going to be Triton. Once we start, it's going to be no water changes. But at the beginning, when you're starting out a reef tank, I highly recommend you to do not 10%, about 20% water changes. This is going to allow the imbalances that the tank is going through at the beginning, and just make sure that at any given time, there's always pristine water in the tank or as close to pristine. So what this allows it to do is for the bad bacteria, bad algae not to take over. Thus, you get this. Believe it or not, guys, I have not cleaned the glass on this tank in about 2 weeks. None of it whatsoever. You can see the sand bed is nice and white, exactly as we should expect. The rocks, look at that, aging beautifully. So that's going to be my tip. Like I said, I'm going to have a video on that in the future where I go into it in a lot more detail. So that's it with everything pretty much here on the top. I'm trying to see if there's something I didn't cover, but I think we got everything here on the top. So moving on to the bottom, and this is just why I love this tank so much. Just look at how easy you can remove the panes here. You can remove all the sides of it. Beautiful aluminum stand allows for easy access to really get inside and do any maintenance that you need to be doing to the tank. So the light, a lot of people have been asking me, what light am I running for the Fuge? It's the same light as up there. The only difference is this is a freshwater version. And I don't know if you guys remember when I first put the Chaeto in here, but look at how big that's getting. So it's clearly growing quite a bit. The sump, I'm beyond happy with this Triton sump. This was a sump done by Advanced Acrylics. If you guys missed that video, I highly urge you guys to check it out. But this sump was specifically designed to be Triton, where Triton is the first chamber is the Fuge, second chamber skimmer, and then last chamber return. But all in all, you can see the purling, which is all the little bubbles on the Chaeto. That just lets you know that there's carbon and oxygen exchange going on, thus the plant is growing, thus giving off and consuming the CO2. Another thing I did do, guys, the Fuge was growing quite a bit of algae, which is good, because if algae grows here, guess what that means? It's not gonna grow here. One thing I did do, I took the two snails, the turbo snails I had out of here, and threw them in here. There's one there, and there's another one, oh yes, right there. You can see all the snail poop. Almost looks like mice poop. It's interesting, but they've been doing a great job keeping it at bay, and I really have no complaints with them whatsoever. But I'm very happy how the Chaeto is actually growing quite big. It's a lot bigger when I first put it in there about 3 weeks ago. So yeah, no bad complaints. The skimmer I have been running, I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware, but this is the Delua Great White GW5 skimmer. They've been out for quite a while. A lot of people have been raving the reviews about them, saying they're great skimmers, they're animals. I love it. It's very easy to tune. More importantly, I mean, the results speak for themselves. I just cleaned the cup yesterday, so there's not that much skimming, but you can see it really doing a great job in pulling out all the nasty gunk. I wouldn't smell that if I were you. But yeah, it's very easy to adjust. It's literally just moving this knob, and then you can adjust the air. That's one thing I like. A lot of skimmers out there, believe it or not, don't have an air adjustment. It kind of sucks because you can really fine tune a skimmer if you're able to adjust the air. So one of the last pieces of equipment that I do have is obviously the KH Director. So guys, this is by far probably one of my most favorite, only and simply because I love knowing where my alkalinity is at in my tank. And this thing is able to do automatic tests on alkalinity every single day, up to 24 times a day. And it lets you know on your phone exactly where your alkalinity is. If you like for it to control alkalinity, it's also able to do that. So it's just a great part of equipment. I'm a big tech guy, so I love stuff like this. I still need to clean up a little bit my wiring in the back, but I'll get to that in a later time. I'm also going to show you guys some wire management tips coming down the road. But yeah, that is the KHD. I have nothing bad to say. It's been measuring my alkalinity. I've been comparing it to my HANA checker, and it's dead on every single time. So I can honestly say I trust this thing 100%. To fully take over my alkalinity dosing, I'd have no doubt in it whatsoever. For the return, a few people have been asking me what return I'm running. It's kind of difficult to see. It's back there, but I'm running the Vario 6 pump. No complaints, very simple. I loved that it was white and red. Obviously went along with my advanced acrylic sump and kind of the whole red and white theme I have going on. So that's the return, and that pretty much covers everything here on the bottom. So I do plan in the future to do individual videos on circulation in your tank. So obviously the wave makers. I've ran so many wave makers. I've ran gyres, I've ran Vortex, I've ran Neros, I've ran Jabos. So I'm gonna do one of what I recommend is the best pump, because there is a best one for certain style tanks. Obviously for longer tanks, I really like gyres and so on and so forth. So again, I'm gonna have a video on that on its own in the future. I'm also gonna have a video on how I've been able to maintain this tank in 100% detail, essentially algae free. And I think you guys are really gonna get some great tips out of there. I mean, even if you've been in the reefing for a while, you know, there's always takeaways. I know I always have takeaways from other people, so I'm sure there's gonna be takeaways for everyone out there. So expect updates, individual updates on that, and obviously more specific. I mean, I'm just beyond happy with the setup. It's obviously able, this being the harder coral that's in there, the shortcake, acropora, it tells me it's 100% ready. I've gone quite long without adding corals in this tank. I know a lot of people would have added it after the cycle. We actually held out, I think about 3 to 4 months before we added any fish or coral, which I'm very happy and I'm very proud of, because that just shows me that I was able to do it. More importantly, I was able to prove to myself something, and that is, if you take it slow in a newly cycled tank, guess what? You don't have to be dealing with algae issues like a lot of people deal with. And I mean, here's a perfect example of that. So guys, that's gonna be it for this update video. I'd love to hear guys in the comments below if you guys like this style of update where it's live on the go, just kind of holding the camera and talking as I go, or if you like my JBJ was, where I just kind of put the camera on a tripod, do voiceovers. It's a little bit more relaxed, not as upbeat as this. I'd love to hear in the comments what style you guys like. If you guys like this style, how about this? We'll name it style number 1, which is this style, or style number 2, which is the camera on a tripod and just me doing voiceovers. So that's gonna be it. Let me know down in the comments what you guys like. If I earn your subscription, if you're not subscribed, please be sure to subscribe. If you're subscribed, or just you're subscribing today, be sure to hit that notification bell, because we got tons and tons of great videos coming out. So that's gonna be it. I thank each and every one of you very much for watching. As always, happy reefing.